So, when we are evaluating leadership and management, and we're explaining the concepts of management. So, management is basically just keeping everybody under control that's underneath you. And the 4 stages of management, as I have pulled up right in front of me on the notes that we have from this semester, number 1 is planning, number 2 is organizing, and then leading, and then evaluating or controlling is another way to put that. And when it comes to leadership, there's a difference between leadership and management. Leadership is almost just kind of having the people look up to you, while management is actually, you don't have to be almost kind of a manager to be a leader. A leader is just someone who influences the actions of others. Managers are the ones that are keeping it in track. And the question posed is, do you believe you have to be a good leader to be a good manager? And I think you do, because if you have a better leader underneath you and you're in the position of a manager, your job is not being well done. Because first of all, if you are in a manager situation, you've got to be able to have people looking up to you, because your role is manager. And if they're underneath you and they're not looking up to you, it's not going to work well. I worked at the pool, and the other question is, do you believe you have to be a good manager? And I think you do, because the times whenever I was not the best manager probably were not the best days for the pool. I don't remember specifically, but if I had to guess, those were probably not the best days for the pool whenever I was just letting people do whatever they wanted to do. And describing various skills and roles and functions. So when we think about our professional selves, the question is, what do you think will be the biggest challenge as a manager? And whenever I think about management, and obviously some people are better talkers, some people are better just listeners, different kinds of things. Everybody has their different skills. Some people are managers, some people are workers. And could be a manager in baseball, could be an events manager for just a coordinator of events at a school. So there's a lot of different roles, but the biggest challenge I think that I will face as a manager, and again, if we go back to POLE, which shows the functions of being a manager, is sometimes just organizing. I think I don't do the greatest job at organizing sometimes, and I think that could be a struggle for me whenever it comes to organizing. Sometimes I'm great at it, but sometimes it's not one of my best things. Now, my biggest strength as a manager, I think, would be just evaluating things, kind of, just, and by evaluating, I mean I'm pretty good at just making comments. And so maybe they're not like the most helpful comments all the time, but I'm definitely good at putting my input into things and saying how I feel, what I think about certain things. So whenever it comes to strength, I think that would be my biggest strength. Then articulate personal leadership strengths and weaknesses, and recognize and mediate personal stress behaviors as they relate to leadership ones. So whenever it comes to my stress behaviors, sometimes whenever I feel like things are just completely out of control, I can just get really stressed and take it out on other people, or become quiet. And so mainly just for me would be making sure everything feels underneath control and not letting it get to a point where it's not under control. Sometimes I can't really help that, and so I don't usually get as stressed if I can't help it, but just doing everything I can to keep things underneath control. Explain how you plan to use the information you've learned about yourself through the Birkman as you enter your profession. So we did the Birkman studies in this class, and I already knew before going into the Birkman that I was pretty extroverted, and the Birkman kind of confirmed that for me. And so I kind of want to be the opposite a little bit. I want to get better at listening. And so the Birkman told me that, I love to talk, I'm an extrovert, but I want to get better at listening, and want to get better at just hearing people out and being patient to talking, and just hearing other people more so that my talking might be more effective whenever I know more about that other person. So yeah, just in general, what do I want to use from it? I would say listening more to people. And then it says utilize your needs, your stress behavior, motivation, and all other reports you so chose. And so yeah, with what the reports say about myself and how I can apply them, literally like it, there was tons of information obviously, but I would say that I just want to be able to listen more. And if I want to be more successful in my future career, I think listening will really help me, because I think I have the keys a lot of the times, and a lot of the times I don't. And I've probably said too many things sometimes to where if I would have just listened, it would have been a lot better and a lot smoother. And so, yeah, I'm trying to learn from that. And finally, objective number 4 tells us to identify and examine the elements of leadership theory and practice as they relate to the various managerial roles. So again, we have leadership theory, and there's different elements of that, and there's different elements of practice. So I'm going to click over to the leadership theory and on the leadership notes, and I clicked on that, and I just pulled up this note presentation that we went through this semester with all the leadership theories on it. Obviously, it tells us the difference between leaders and managers. But some of the theories were the path goal theory of leadership. There's situational leadership, inclusive leadership, transformational leadership, transactional leadership, and then we have autocratic, democratic, and laissez-faire leadership. So, and then it tells us to expand and reflect on the leadership style theory you believe best represents your style. So, my style kind of, I would say that some of the key traits, as I have pulled up here in the trait theory, are charisma and confidence and integrity, communication skills as well, and determination and intelligence. And I feel like I'm not as intelligent in some things, but I am pretty intelligent in a lot of things, I think. But the rest of them, maybe my intelligence is great, but the rest of them, charisma and communication skills and determination, I think I do pretty well in, and I have confidence in. I have a lot of integrity growing up doing sports that kept me pretty motivated, and so I would say definitely the trait theory would be one that really sticks out for me personally, that I do well in. And so yeah, I think the trait theory for sure for me would be one that really clicks. Explain how you will strive to be a good leader and manager in your future career. One of the things, if I'm ever a manager in the future, I want the camaraderie of the team to be very close. I think the more you know your team, the more they know you care for them, the closer that team's going to be, and the better they're going to operate. And it's not going to be just like you dread being at work every single day. When you like the people that you work around, you are going to want to be there, and you're going to do a better job. And I know there's a lot of people that probably would say, you can't have fun at work. You got to be serious. You got to take it serious. I think the more fun you're able to have sometimes, now obviously do your work, but the more fun you're able to have, the more you want to be there, which will help you to strive to be successful. And another thing, it says, think about what difficulties you might face. Well, people, myself, there's always going to be difficulties. There's always going to be problems. There's always going to be people that don't get along. So that's a difficulty in and of itself. So I got to be able to work with that. And that's just people. I mean, seriously, that's one of the biggest difficulties. And it says, think about a way think about how you will be mindful of stress behaviors and mediate that behavior to increase productivity. So sometimes whenever I feel like I got a list of things that I need to do at work, I do them, but I can't get so OCD like where it's like I have to do it perfectly. Sometimes whenever I strive for perfection, it can lead me up a wall, and so that's one of the things where I have to be careful with that stress behavior and not let that come into effect, but also enjoy what I'm doing and not just be lazy all the time and keep doing it. Whenever I have tasks in front of me, I like to do it. I like to get it done. I like to get it accomplished. And then it says, in what ways do you feel that this course has prepared you for your future success as a leader and manager? So whenever we do stuff that teaches you about your personality, you understand who you are more as a person. And you also understand the areas in which you might lack a little bit more. So it's always great to understand areas where maybe you are better, but also areas where you aren't on the same level as certain people. So it's always good to just have that reminder. So I think anytime that you're exposed to survey results, kind of like we did with the Birkman, it can always help you just to understand who you are as a person, what you're very strong at, but also what you could grow at.